Welcome to the Alchemist Journey. If you found this podcast, it wasn't by accident. My name is Monica. I'm a holistic coach, astrologer, and the person who's going to help you stop just reading the stars and start becoming the version of yourself they are pointing to. Because this isn't just your typical astrology podcast. We don't just decode what's happening in the sky. We decode what's happening in you. The programming running underneath the surface, the patterns keeping you stuck. And we use the current astrology energy as the portal to recode it. So grab your journal. You're not just here to listen, you're here to transform. Today we're talking about a new moon in Cancer, and by the end of this episode, you will have decoded one core piece of your emotional programming and you will know the exact record Cancer is asking you to install right now. So the portal is open. Let's go in. Before we go in the new moon, I want to briefly acknowledge two energies that are already in the field because they are shaping everything that's happening right now. Jupiter moved into Leo on the 30th of June, and I went deep on this on my full moon episode at the end of June. I recommend you go back and listen to that one after this. But the one thing I want you to carry into this new moon is that Jupiter in Leo is expanding the energy of the heart chakra. Courage, bravery, creativity. The energy is alive in the background of everything we are working with today. The second energy is Chiron in Taurus is also active. I covered this in detail in both the full moon and the new moon episodes in June, including everything it could open up and the reference to the past it tends to surface. If that is relevant for you, those episodes are waiting for you. Now, let's talk about this new moon. We have a new moon in Cancer in conjunction with Mercury, arriving just days before the sun moves into Leo. Cancer is one of the water signs, motion close to the surface, connected with family, with our sense of home, and with what we need to feel safe. So the question that this new moon is asking all of us is, write down this if you haven't opened your journal yet. What needs to feel safe before it can be born? Hold the question. We are going to come back to it because everything else I'm about to share with you, the Barbault, the planetary aspects, and the evolutionary questions, it all lives inside that one question. Notice what just come up in your body when I say that. So to understand why this new moon carries so much weight right now, I want to zoom out, way out, to something called the Barbault basket. Andre Barbault was one of the most important astrologers of the 20th centuries, and his most significant contribution was something called the cyclical index, a mathematical formula that tracks the angular distances between the 5 slowest moving planets, which are Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. His hypothesis was simple but profound. When these planets are highly concentrated, when the index is low, humanity goes through periods of crisis, transformation, and reorganization. When are widely dispersed, when the index is high, we experience expansion, stability, and collective creativity. We believe these moments of synchronization between slow-moving planets mark the beginning of new historical chapters, not isolated events. And here's the fact that brought renewed attention to this work. The minimum of the cyclical index around 2020-2021 coincided with a major collective crisis. He had even mentioned the possibility of a pandemic. After COVID-19, people started paying very close attention to what he said was coming next. He considered the 2025-2027 configuration to be one of the most important on the entire 21st century. We are in it right now. So let's meet the 5 planets, because each one carries an evolutionary invitation for you personally. Grab your journal. I'm going to give you a question for each one, and I want you to sit with whatever comes up in your body, not just your mind. The first one is Jupiter. And Jupiter is related to the expansion of consciousness, represents your beliefs, your philosophy of life, your sense of purpose, your spiritual growth, your trust in life, and your search for meaning. Pause here, because I'm going to ask you the question now. So grab your journal. What new vision of reality I'm willing to embrace? Notice what opens or resists within your body as you read that. The second planet is Saturn and is connected with maturity and reality, represents responsibility, karma, limits, structures, discipline, the integration of lessons, and it is the planet that asks, are you willing to do the real work? What needs to become solid and authentic in my life right now? Not what looks solid, what is solid, what is actually solid is. Uranus is related to awakening. Uranus represents the liberation, the individuation, the innovation, unexpected change, breaking conditioning. Is the part of you that knows there is more and won't stop until you find them. And here, this is the question that Uranus asks for this period. Where does my soul need to reclaim its freedom? If something tighten or soften in your chest right now, that is your chart talking. Next planet is Neptune and is connected with unity and represents the dissolution of the ego, the compassion, the spirituality, the inspiration, the imagination. When it's not integrated, it can show up as confusion or idealization, seeing that we want to see instead what is true, seeing the potential instead of what is true happening already. Here is a question from Neptune. What is to be surrendered to something greater than my personal identity? Pluto, deep transformation. In evolutionary astrology, Pluto is often considered one of the most significant planets of all. It represents the evolution of the soul, death and rebirth, power, unconscious desire, deep trauma, and purification. One must die so that a more authentic version of me can emerge. Stick with that one. Don't rush past it. To bring it all together, Pluto is the call to evolve. Neptune is the remembering of unity. Uranus is the awakening from conditioning. Saturn is embodying the consciousness in matter. And Jupiter is expanding, understanding, and giving meaning to the whole experience. These aren't separate energies. They are one conversation. And right now, they're all active at one. So here's something extraordinary happening in the sky right now. Pluto is in Aquarius. Jupiter is at 3 degrees of Leo, and they are in direct opposition. And this is one of the most powerful aspects in astrology when it comes to power, resources, and influence. Jupiter expands abundance, vision, opportunity, growth. Pluto transforms power, deep capital, unconscious forces, regeneration. When these two planets form a strong aspect, the themes of power and abundance becomes impossible to ignore, collectively and personally. And here is the historical parallel that makes this genuinely extraordinary. The French Revolutionary of 1789 happened under Pluto in Aquarius, exactly where Pluto is now. During part of that revolutionary process, Jupiter transited Leo, activating the same Leo-Aquarius axis we are in today. What followed was the fall of the ancient regime, the awakening of an absolute power, the birth of modern concepts of citizenship, human rights, and democracy. Sounds familiar, right? So right now, astrologers are watching the questioning of all political system, the transformation of global leadership, the rise of disruptive technologies, especially AI, changes in financial system, and new forms of social organization. And Barbault pointed to exactly this period, 2025 to 2027, as one of the most significant of the century. But here is what I want you to sit with personally, because this is the alchemist journey, and we always bring it home. So the question is just what is collapsing in the world. It is what's collapsing in you that is being ready to fall for a while now. What is collapsing in you that is being ready to fall for a while now? Write down what is collapsing in you that is being ready to fall for a while now. Because after each collapsing, there is the recreation, or there is the birth of a true new identity. And on the Leo's Aquarius axis, personally, Leo drives you to create, lead, express your individual vision. Aquarius invite you to the power beneath the community, the network, the humanity, the collective evolution. The higher expression of this axis is someone who builds something significant and then uses it to drive it. Meaningful change beyond themselves. The movement from accumulating power to channeling power for a greater good. This opposition is asking you, where are you being called to lead? And are you willing to let that leadership serve something bigger than your personal success? There is one more thread in this new moon I don't want you to miss, because this one lives in your body more than your mind. Venus in Virgo is forming a semi-square with the new moon and sun in Cancer. The semi-square is a minor aspect, but Johannes Kepler, which is another astrologer, called it as an aspect of internal friction. It's like having a stone in your shoes while you're trying to walk, right? You definitely can walk. However, it feels a bit uncomfortable, right? So this is what the friction is. It's not an obvious crisis of a square. It's a subtle tension. It's a persistent nudge that says something needs adjusting here. Venus rules money and markets, personal and collective values, relationships, diplomatic agreements, self-worth, pleasure, and desire. In this context of this Cancer new moon, it's inviting you to review your values around your family, your safety, and how you relate to others close to you. Where have your values around belonging, worth, and connections drifted from what is actually true for you right now? And we also have a semi-square between Mars and Uranus in Gemini, which is the rebellion, the revolution, and equality, the desire to break free from all agreements, to say what hasn't been said, and to move differently. Notice what shifts in your body as you hear that. We've covered a lot of territory today. Let's bring it home. Here are your 4 integration questions for this new moon cycle. Write them down, sit with them over the coming days, not just right now. Take a breath between each one, right? So the first one is the new moon in Cancer. What needs to be protected and nurtured so that the future can be born. And Jupiter in Leo asks you, what vision or leadership within me wants to expand right now? Pluto in Aquarius asks, what collective structures inside me or around me needs to be transformed in order to support that vision. And Venus in Virgo asks what values, habits, or ways of managing my resources need to be adjusted so that this change can actually be sustainable. There are no small questions, so don't rush them. The new moon opens a portal and you have the entire lunar cycle to work through it. And I hope this episode gave you something real to work with. If you felt something shift while listening, if something in your chart, your patterns, or your emotional blueprint is calling to be looked at more deeply, that's not a coincidence. That is your soul saying it is time. So you can book a quantum astrology session with me through the link in the description. And I want to be very clear about what this is, because this is not a standard astrology reading where I tell you what signs you are and send you home. Your chart is not a personality map. It is an energetic blueprint of your soul. And when we read it together, we're not just identifying what is there. We are decoding the patterns, the codes, the places where you have been running all programming without knowing it. And then we recode using quantum work, NLP, energy healing, hypnosis, whatever your system needs to make sure that the shift doesn't just happen in your mind, it happens in your body too. This is why I call it quantum, because we don't just read the energy, we work with it. And if this is calling you, the link is in the description. I would love to see your chart. And as always, thank you for being here. Genuinely, drop your insights in the comments. I read every single one. What came up for you, what landed, what your chart is showing right now. If this episode resonated, share it with one person who needs to hear it, and hit the subscribe and a bell so you don't miss the next one. And I will see you in the next one. Shanti.